Hello everyone, my name is Destiny Osborne and I'm a college intern in OSS, currently working on the OSS Customer Redirection Initiative. Now before we begin today, I want you to imagine a grocery store that has an aisle in the back of its store completely dedicated to dairy. However, customers consistently need to ask associates, where's the milk? Does this mean that the grocery store is doing something wrong? Does this mean that the customer is doing something wrong? What can the store do to make it easier for the customers to find milk? Similar to this scenario, we can apply it to Union Pacific, but specifically to OSS when they receive calls from customers who otherwise could have received their solution for their problem somewhere else. Today, I want to talk to you about what the Customer Redirection Initiative is, how it works, why we're doing it, and we're going to conclude with some recommendations moving forward. To begin, what is the Customer Redirection Initiative? Simply, the Customer Redirection Initiative is finding areas that direct customers to contact OSS. We then determine if there's a more appropriate support tool for the customer, and then we implement the change for the redirect. And the Customer Redirection Initiative ultimately will provide the most efficient solution for the customer while utilizing the most economical option for Union Pacific. We can take a look here at the average cost per incident for support to see just how impactful the Customer Redirection Initiative is on the economic side. On average, first level support, also known as OSS, costs $20 per incident versus self-help, where it costs $5 per incident. This is a $15 cost difference. Essentially, why should an OSS analyst change a customer's password for $20 when the customer can change their own password for $5? Now, let's take a look at what the redirects are and what Customer Redirection Initiative is going to be focusing on. We can take a look at the October 2015 call statistics for OSS, and we can see the different areas that OSS is handling. If we combine web apps, SAP, security access, and TCS host, this amounts to the security-related issues that OSS handles, and it amounts to a third of what OSS is doing for customers. This shows us that even though there's existing self-service tools for the customers to use, they're calling OSS instead. This is where the Customer Redirection Initiative would come in and redirect the customer to the self-help tools before contacting an OSS analyst. So, now that we understand what the Customer Redirection Initiative is, let's discuss how it works. It's going to begin by OSS finding the areas that direct customers to contact OSS. OSS then determines if there's a more appropriate support tool for the customer, and then we contact the support team to implement that redirect. We look at it a little deeper for the first step here. It involves OSS searching the Union Pacific websites and applications for Contact OSS or anywhere that lists the OSS phone numbers. It's also going to have a second component, where OSS analysts, while actively assisting a customer, pay attention to areas that would otherwise be unsearchable, redirect the customer to contact OSS. Now, if we look at the second step, we're determining what the appropriate redirect or support tool would be for the customer. The other support tools are going to include the password self-service, eComs, access requests, and other support teams. Now, the third step involves implementing change to redirect the customer. This is going to require OSS finding the correct support team or application team for that specific web page or application that lists the contact OSS or the OSS phone numbers. We're going to be utilizing the DAI app and support team search or communication methods that are already provided on that web page or application. So now that we understand what the Customer Redirection Initiative is and how it works, let's look at why we want to be doing the Customer Redirection Initiative. Well, it allows OSS to take on more valuable calls for the company. This is due to the decrease in security-related issues that OSS is handling, which adds the availability for more valuable calls. This is going to include the positive train control calls that are going to be coming into Union Pacific here in the next couple of years. It's also going to bring revenue to the bottom line. This is because we're going to be utilizing existing tools more efficiently. We're going to also be encouraging a cultural change around support. We're going to be encouraging customers to utilize self-service tools before needing to contact an analyst. We're also going to be encouraging other support teams to create more efficient error messages for the customer that are going to be considering the customer rather than directing them to OSS. Let's take a look at an example here of customer redirection and why it's needed. Here, we have an error message that a customer receives when they try to access MCS, and they don't have access to it. The error message says, user ID is inactive. Contact OSS for access. What's wrong here? What's wrong with this error message? Well, for one, it doesn't clearly indicate that the customer doesn't have access to MCS. Second, it's directing them to the wrong support tool. OSS provides first-level support for technical problems. It does not give access out to different applications. The customer needs to submit an access request. So customer redirection would edit this error message so that it clearly indicates that the customer doesn't have access and that they need to submit an access request. Now that we understand what the Customer Redirection Initiative is, how it works, and why we're doing it, what can we do moving forward? Well, we recommend a collaborative effort between OSS and other support teams to take note of possible redirects. This will include when you encounter them yourself or while you're assisting a customer. And if you find this possible redirect, contact OSS with this information. Give us the details so we can move forward and take action to implement a redirect. And we also recommend keep the customer in mind when creating error messages. That way we can prevent the future need of the Customer Redirection Initiative. So, in conclusion, and going back to the main goal of the Customer Redirection Initiative, we want to provide the most efficient solution for the customer while utilizing the most economical option for Union Pacific. Does anyone have any questions?